Many times on this channel, I talk about how lazy Hollywood is these days, how they don't take any creative risks, but rather just rehash old IPs and never come up with anything original anymore. So when a movie comes along that does try to offer up something different, I'm usually interested in seeing it, which is how I ended up at a screening of the movie Companion. While most of the marketing for Companion suggests that this is a horror movie, after seeing it, I really don't agree with that description. Companion, I would say, is more of a thriller with elements of sci-fi and a touch of dark humor, which is fine by me, but I think some people may feel a bit misled by the marketing if they don't know what they're going into. Now, since this movie's story relies on a lot of twists and turns, I'm going to discuss its plot using very broad descriptions in order not to spoil it for people who actually want to go see it, but at the same time, I won't ruin it for people who want to watch this review. And before we dive in, if it's not too much trouble, please like and subscribe, as it would really help my video get picked up by the YouTube algorithm. Companion's first act can best be described as a rather generic and ordinary relationship drama. Josh and Iris, who are a couple, are meeting up with some of Josh's friends for a weekend getaway at a remote property that belongs to a wealthy yet suspicious Russian businessman. Very quickly, we realize that there's an underlying imbalance in their relationship, whereas Jack is very dominant and Iris seems weak and insecure. It also doesn't help that Josh's friends don't especially like Iris, which is something that keeps weighing on her. At the end of the first act, though, the movie takes a sharp turn when somebody dies, and eventually this leads to a series of wacky events that include a heist, more casualties, artificial intelligence, and even robots. But in spite of a number of people dying in this movie, personally, I still don't really think there's anything scary about it, so like I said, to me, it's not really a horror movie at all. And while I can appreciate some of the ideas that the movie wants to explore, I think that at times the screenplay here just isn't strong enough. On the one hand, I like that it wants to keep surprising the audience with bizarre developments, and that the story moves at a quick pace, but if you actually stop to think about anything that you're watching, there's a ton of plot holes and obvious storytelling cheats along the way. And this becomes especially noticeable in the third act during the movie's big finale, to a point where it does feel like complete nonsense. Even in a sci-fi movie, there has to be a set of consistent rules that are adhered to within the world that we see on screen, and in the absence of that, viewers don't really fully buy into that world, and that's kind of how I felt when I was watching this movie. Another issue I have with Companion is its very blunt messaging. Since 2017, I feel like almost every movie I've seen in any genre always has some type of men are bad themes, especially men of a certain background, and this movie is no different. Now, there are some other questionable people in the movie that are more diverse, but in their case, they seem to have at least one redeeming quality. The straight white men always seem to be more despicable for some reason. And just to be clear, it's not a problem for me that there are bad men in this movie, or even that they're white, but in my opinion, their existence here in Companion once again feel like part of an over-the-top, extreme female empowerment agenda, and it's super aggressive. And the fact that this movie sits on Rotten Tomatoes with a Godfather-level score, in spite of its clear flaws, is very telling, because the mainstream media critics usually love this exact type of smash the patriarchy, woke agenda. Now, putting that aside, is this the worst movie I've seen in recent years? No, not at all. There were moments in Companion that I did genuinely enjoy, and for whatever it's worth, at least this movie isn't hijacking an existing IP like Star Trek, Star Wars, or Doctor Who. It's something original, so the people that made it can do whatever they want with it, even if it is to spread a bunch of propaganda, especially if there's a story that's at least mildly entertaining. In addition, I do respect the fact that the movie had a small budget of $10 million, yet it's still competently made. I also like the performances of the movie's two main leads, Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher, as I think they're both very well cast in their roles. So if you're looking for a somewhat decent, yet rather silly popcorn flick, Companion could be okay if you go in with the right expectations. It's overrated for sure, but at the end of the day, it's still rather breezy and even a bit humorous at times. If I had to give it a score, I suppose I would give it a 70 out of 100. But on the bright side, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it would really help my channel. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day!
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. Brum.